Welcome to a deep dive made just for you. Today, we're getting into something pretty relatable, I think. It's about music. Specifically, our complex relationship with sad songs. You know, the ones we often reach for when things are tough.
Yeah, that go-to playlist when you're feeling low.
Exactly. We're digging into an article called Healing from Sad Song Habits, and honestly, it made me rethink a lot. It challenges that whole idea that wallowing in sad music is always helpful.
It's a really potent topic because music is just so tied into our emotions, isn't it?
Yeah.
It hits us on such a deep level.
Totally. It conjures memories, sets a mood, and yeah, when you're hurting, sad songs can feel like the only thing that gets it.
Absolutely. They mirror that pain back at you, validate what you're feeling, makes you feel maybe a little less alone in it.
Right, like you've found the theme song for your current struggle. But here's the kicker from the article, the question that really stuck with me. What if that music, the stuff that feels like comfort, isn't actually helping you heal? What if it's kind of keeping you stuck in that sad place? Maybe even reinforcing it. Like, I thought this was helping me heal, but maybe it's just keeping me here.
That's the core tension, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to unpack. The source material really dives into this difference between, say, a moment of catharsis, which can be useful.
Sure, letting it out.
Exactly. Versus getting bogged down, like long-term emotional stagnation.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission here is to explore that potential downside, the psychology behind it, and crucially, find some ways to use music more. Well, intentionally.
Okay, yeah. As a tool for actually moving through the tough stuff, not just sitting in it indefinitely.
Precisely.
So let's start by just acknowledging again how powerful music actually is. It's definitely not just background noise.
Oh, absolutely not. It's like a shortcut to our emotional core. Think about a few notes can just transport you back years. Right?
Instantly. Or completely shift your mood and make you want to dance or, cry.
It bypasses the logical brain, speaks directly to how we feel, it creates connections, offers comfort, releases tension.
Mm-hmm.
It's fundamental.
Which brings us back to why sad songs feel so right when we're down. That need to feel understood, you know?
Definitely. The article talks about that initial pull, finding your feelings reflected, maybe even made beautiful or meaningful through art.
Mm-hmm.
And it does acknowledge that initial phase, that mirroring, it can feel really good.
Validating.
Hugely validating. Hearing lyrics that just nail exactly what you're going through, that's powerful. It's like, okay, someone gets it.
Yeah.
It can offer that momentary release, that catharsis. You feel the feelings maybe intensely, but you're not isolated.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a necessary step for a lot of people, I think.
For sure. But, and this is the big but, from the source, there's a line.
The line between that initial validation and something else.
Exactly. Between momentary catharsis and what the article calls emotional stagnation. That's where it gets tricky.
So tell me more about that. How does the source describe this shift?
Well, the insight came from someone realizing that during a really rough time, burnout, relationship stuff, the sad songs weren't actually helping them process anymore. Instead, things just felt heavier, more draining after listening. The realization was kind of like, oh, I thought I was just feeling my feelings, but maybe I'm just marinating in the sadness.
Marinating in sadness. Wow, that's a phrase. So it's about, like, are you just visiting the feeling or have you moved in?
That's a great way to put it. Visiting versus residing. The article talks about what happens when you start soaking in sadness, as it puts it, when it becomes your default soundtrack for too long.
Okay, so what are the dangers of that? How does this soaking keep you stuck, according to the source?
Well, one of the main points is that you can actually start to amplify the pain. It's not just reflecting sadness anymore, it's deepening it.
Oof. Yeah, I can see that. Like you hear a specific line in a song over and over.
And when you're already feeling vulnerable,
Right.
that lyric, that melody, it hits differently. It doesn't just echo what you feel, it cements it. It can actually strengthen those negative thought patterns you might be trying to fight.
So you're basically giving your worst thoughts this really powerful emotional background music.
Pretty much. Making them feel more real, more permanent, harder to argue with in your own head.
And then there's the memory aspect. Music is such a strong trigger for memories. The article touches on that risk too, right? Revisiting old wounds.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a huge point. Music is like this incredibly effective time machine for our emotions. One song can zap you right back.
To the breakup, the argument, the loss.
Yeah, and bring all the feelings associated with that moment rushing back. If you're not ready for that sudden wave of past pain, it can easily send you spiraling.
Pulling you back into something that isn't even happening right now. You're just trying to make dinner and bam, you're emotionally back in 2018.
Exactly. And it can happen completely unexpectedly, especially with streaming algorithms these days.
True. Okay, and there's another really intriguing point. Mistaking sadness for comfort. That sounds weird.
It does sound counterintuitive, doesn't it? How can sadness feel like comfort?
Yeah.
But the article argues that over time, if you spend a lot of time feeling sad, that feeling itself can become familiar, known territory.
Ah, okay. Like it's predictable even if it's unpleasant.
Exactly. There's a weird kind of safety in the familiar, even now the familiar is pain. The author had this moment of clarity. I wasn't healing, I was hiding in a mood I'd grown used to.
Hiding in a mood, that just, wow, that reframes everything. It's not just feeling sad, it's potentially choosing sadness because it feels known.
Right. It becomes this default setting, this place you retreat to. And that very familiarity, that strange comfort, can actually stop you from seeking out or even wanting other emotional states that might lead to actual healing or moving forward.
You stay stuck in the known pain instead of risking the unknown of feeling better.
Something like that. It's a really subtle trap.
Okay, so this is clearly more complex than just sad songs make you sad. What does the psychological perspective add here? And more importantly, what can we actually do about it? What are the strategies?
Well, the article brings in insights from psychology, mentioning a music therapy perspective, and basically it backs up this idea. It confirms that while, yes, sad songs offer that initial validation, that catharsis, if that's all you're listening to, if it's prolonged and unbalanced, it really can contribute to keeping your mood low. It can even make things worse if you're prone to depression.
So it's not just a feeling, it's a documented psychological risk.
It seems so. The core message is feeling your feelings is crucial, absolutely. But the goal of feeling them is usually to process and move through them.
Not to build a house there.
Exactly. Not to set up camp indefinitely.
Yeah.
And the music in this scenario can become this loop that keeps you anchored in that spot.
Okay, so awareness is step one. Recognizing, hey, maybe this isn't serving me anymore. What comes next? What practical steps does the source suggest for using music more intentionally?
The big theme is, well, intentionality itself. It's not about banning sad music forever. That's not realistic or even desirable. They're art, they have value.
Right.
It's about being conscious, asking why you're choosing it, when you're choosing it, and making sure it's part of a more balanced emotional diet, so to speak.
An emotional diet, I like that. So how do we get more intentional?
One really concrete idea is to build what the source calls an emotional reset playlist.
Emotional reset. Okay, tell me more.
It's basically your go-to list, but curated specifically with songs that help you shift out of a negative headspace. Critically, these aren't songs that necessarily match your low mood.
Ah, so they're chosen for where you want to go emotionally.
Exactly. Songs that evoke hope or empowerment or maybe just some uncomplicated joy or positive nostalgia. The idea is to have this tool ready, something you can deliberately put on to help nudge your emotional state when you feel stuck or like you're spiraling downwards.
Choosing music for the feeling you want next, that feels really proactive.
It is. It puts you back in the driver's seat. Another strategy mentioned is practicing active listening.
As opposed to just letting it be, what did you call it? Emotional wallpaper.
Yeah, emotional wallpaper, where it's just on in the background, subtly influencing your mood without you really noticing or choosing.
Okay, so active listening means
paying attention, tuning into the lyrics, the energy, the overall feel of the song, and asking yourself consciously, is this helping me right now? Are these words reinforcing the negativity I want to shake off? Or is this offering something else, peace, energy, perspective, even just a healthy distraction?
Evaluating the input, not just absorbing it.
Precisely. And that leads naturally to another point.
Which is?
Giving yourself permission to hit skip.
Ah, yes. Even on songs you technically love.
Absolutely. Yeah. The article stresses this. You don't owe any song your attention, especially if it reliably drags you down when you're trying to climb out of a hole.
Right.
If a track triggers painful memories or just makes you feel worse in that specific moment, skipping it isn't failure, it's self-care. It's asserting control over your emotional environment.
Taking charge of the soundtrack. That makes a lot of sense. It feels like this connects to empathy, too, something the article mentioned.
It does. The source suggests that highly empathetic people might be particularly drawn to sad, intense music because they feel things so deeply. They connect with the vulnerability in the art.
Which is a strength, of course.
Totally. But like any intense connection, empathy needs boundaries. If you're constantly absorbing and amplifying sad or difficult emotions, whether from people or from music, it can lead straight to burnout.
So the idea is that music should ideally be nourishing, not just draining.
Yeah, finding that balance. Appreciating the art, feeling the connection, but not letting it overwhelm you or keep you stuck. Using it in a way that supports your overall well-being.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. The main takeaway isn't sad songs bad.
Not at all. They're human, they're necessary, they're art.
But the key is awareness, developing that pause moment.
Exactly. That moment where you ask yourself, why am I reaching for this specific song or playlist right now? Is this choice actively helping me move towards feeling better? Or is it just keeping me company in a place I actually want to leave?
Recognizing that music isn't just reflecting your mood, it's actively shaping it.
And you have agency there. You get to choose the soundtrack. You can curate your emotional experience, one song, one choice at a time.
This has definitely given me pause for thought. I can think of times I've put on a sad playlist and just felt heavier afterwards, without really questioning why. Maybe thinking it was just the situation, not the soundtrack I chose for it.
It shifts the power dynamic, doesn't it? From being dictated by your mood to using music to help steer it.
Yeah, it really does. So, as a final thought for everyone listening.
Reflecting on all this, think about your own go-to music when you're feeling down. Are you consciously choosing tracks to help you navigate towards where you want to be emotionally next? Or are you, perhaps without realizing it, letting that low mood pick the playlist, potentially keeping you right where you are? Something to mull over.